Welcome to Channel X TV. Delighted to be joined by Fraser Cottrell today, co-founder of Fraggell, and we're going to talk performance ads today. But first of all, Fraser, welcome. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm great. But for
Good
those that
stuff.
don't know you, just tell us very briefly a little bit about what you do, just sort of one sentence.
Yeah, sure. So I co-founded Fraggell, which is a performance ad creative agency. So in short, all those ads that you see on Facebook and TikTok, which probably annoy you a lot of the time, and trying to sell you stuff, my agency is responsible for making them.
So I don't know if we should love you or hate you. From the
Yeah,
consumer
yeah. I'm never
perspective,
sure
maybe it's
about
a
that
little
one.
bit, a little bit of
Yeah,
hate. But from our audience, who are mainly brands and retailers, I think there's going to be a bit of love coming your way.
yeah.
Um,
I'd hope so.
but let's dive straight into it. Performance marketing. Um,
Mhm.
First of all, for those that are a little unsure, and I've got to include myself in this, what's the difference between marketing and performance marketing? And
Yeah.
secondly, when we're talking performance marketing, what type of actions are business paying for? What do they actually want from this type of marketing?
Yeah. So performance marketing is, I mean, all marketing is the same. We want more people to buy our product, right? That's the action that everyone wants to take off, more people to hire our service, whatever that is. Performance marketing is just going down a different area where we're results driven, right? Where all of our actions directly correspond to a result. Okay, so for us, when we're making ads, our core action that we want here is we want people to purchase the product, to take action on social. Whereas, when you're looking in marketing as a grander scheme, a lot of the time you might be doing brand awareness campaigns like a billboard or something like that, right? That's not performance marketing because there isn't any measurable performance there, right? So it's less about making your brand look amazing and a TV commercial looking, glamorous and incredible, and more about what do we have to do to get results. So performance marketing is normally where a lot of brands see more scale than they would do in traditional marketing outlets.
So this is really important because marketing budgets are always difficult, and especially with the economy at the moment, they tend to be the first thing to be cut. But performance marketing gives you a measurable return on investment. You can actually relate to a particular ad, how many
Yeah.
people watched it, how many people
Mhm.
clicked it, how many people made a purchase from it.
Yeah.
You've actually got a measurable impact from these adverts.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what are the main actions people are looking for? Is it all to do with the purchase? And is it different on different platforms? Because, for instance, on TikTok, you mentioned you might actually make
Mhm.
a purchase on TikTok Shop, but on other platforms like Meta, for example, there's no shop. It's probably a click through to your website.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
what are you actually measuring?
Yeah, well, you're measuring just that, right? Yeah, I mean, like you said, Meta a lot of the time is you're clicking through to a landing page where you make a purchase. Still measure that. You can still measure the purchase that comes through that because of the data that Meta have, and we can track those purchases through pixels and such. Um, Same goes with TikTok. You can run TikTok Shop ads where they are making the purchase on the app, but you can also just run TikTok ads where they direct to a landing page the exact same way that Meta do as well. So that's normally what you're tracking. Most people are building their ads for conversions. Kind of the broader way to advertise now, because these platforms have so much data on us, the best way to do it is just to upload an ad and let Facebook, TikTok do the work for you. They know about your customer. They know if this is a video similar to something that they've clicked on or watched in the past. And so you're kind of just letting Meta do the work, deliver the ads to the right people at the right times in the hopes that at the end of it, at some point, they'll press purchase.
And what type of formats tend to perform best? And
Mm.
is it different on different platforms? What are the hot platforms? And I think it's interesting. I've seen recently, obviously with TikTok, we're used to sort of the portrait mode, and kind of
Mm.
Meta and everyone else are now adopting portrait mode. So
Yeah.
is the world going towards that? And is there
Yeah.
anything else that we need to
Yeah, I
know?
mean, in general, like, or every single ad that we deliver is in portrait, and then the platforms normally then they might deliver them in 4 by 5 or square, for example. So, but yeah, I mean, everyone consumes social media on their phone at this point. I can't really remember the last time that I logged into Facebook on my laptop and scrolled through the
Do
feed,
people still
right?
do that?
I don't think they do exactly right. So you're the reason why we shoot on portrait is because it's just the format that takes up the most real estate on the screen, right? Like those are days of organic social where I used to work in, like, 5 or 6 years ago, where you'd make things square because it meant that the like button was perfectly, in line. You have the square video, and then the like video, like the like was right underneath it within like the fold, right? Whereas now it's different. People want that experience. The engagement is normally at the side, over the top of the video. So in terms of formats, I mean, it really does depend on your product, your customer, your demographic, everything like that. Um, the platforms are very similar now in terms of what works. Normally what you do see is whatever works on TikTok will usually work on Facebook as well. It's a little bit different the other way. It's not always the case that what works on Facebook will work on TikTok. They're not normally the exact same demographic and also the same watching habits. But in general, things that feel organic, things that feel like someone has actually made them. That's why, like, user generated content is so popular now, because it feels like something that your mate would send you, or it feels like, you're on the phone to your friend on FaceTime, whatever. So definitely a swing towards that. But then there's also a massive demographic of people that just enjoy an ad that looks like an ad, right? Like, they like to make that distinguishing factor of, this is an ad, this isn't an ad. If I want to watch it, I'll watch it.
And I know I've spoken to some creators who do their own content and ad content, and they're actually really particular about labeling something as an ad if it's paid for content.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But I think working with creators is always a challenge because they're so diverse in their style and the types of content they do, the types of products that they may or may not want to promote. And it's always difficult kind of conveying the brand story. So how do you kind of not just convey the business objectives of the ad to the creator, but also kind of give them the brand ethos of, or do you just pick creators that you think work with your brand? How do you go about selecting creators and then getting the objectives of the ad across to them?
Yeah, so I think there's two kind of different camps there. There's influencer marketing, which is probably what you're more on about there, which is where you'd hire an Instagrammer or you'd hire a YouTuber, whatever, that lines up with your brand ethos, their demographics in the right space, all that kind of stuff. When it comes to, I can't really talk on that because it's not really something that we do, but I know from history of working with brands, that's a difficult game because they normally want much more creative control. And so you do have to kind of play by their rule book than yours. You just have to give them, you just have to say to them, look, this is what we're trying to sell. Your audience is families. We really think that our product will fit perfectly into that. Go for it, kind of thing, right? But for us, when we're making like user generated content, we're often using actors, to be totally honest. Like, we're scripting the videos, we're shot listing the videos. It is very much a traditional way of making a video ad, but it's just framed in a way that looks more organic and looks,
But this is
like
much
something
more
you'd see on your
akin.
feed.
Performance marketing for ads is much more akin to creating a TV advert, although probably a smaller budget and a smaller studio, but the same.
It's it is very similar in terms of the process. It's just scaled down massively because the turnover has to be so quick. There's no point spending 100 grand and 8 weeks on a production for a TV commercial to then put it on Facebook and it flops and you have to turn it off because it's wasting money, right? Instead, you want to be able to spend 2 or 3 days on an ad, get that live, test it, see what data comes back. Does it work? No. Okay, why didn't it work? Let's figure out, let's iterate, let's put another one out. That's, it's much more faster. We're delivering, at this point, probably over 1,000 ads every single month across our clients, whereas, like other agencies, which are marketing agencies, probably in the, in the tens, right?
Yeah. And can you give some examples of kind of crazy success that you've seen for performance marketing ads? What are the possibilities if you get everything right?
Yeah, I mean, we've had over 300 million spent on our ads alone, and the success that you can see, we've had, because we've also worked with brands in the US. So one of the brands was like a snack bar company. We made an ad for them in the first month it was working for us. I think they've spent like over 5 million on that ad now, and it's massively helped them in terms of pushing their social forward, continuing to spend on the platform.
Yeah. Just before people get scared off, when you say they spent over 5 million, I'm presuming that's not production costs.
No,
not all of it.
No. That's no. I mean, that 5 million is solely money given to Facebook to carry on pushing that ad out there, right? But they generated probably like 10 million off it, right? So
yeah,
it's just ad spend, right? The 5 million on ad spend, whatever. For us, it was just our monthly fee, right? So they've made our monthly fee back multiple times over, right? And they can continue to use that ad for as long as it works. And then after it doesn't work, then you can take it down and you can recut it and edit it into something else.
And what's kind of the longevity of an ad? Because if they spent 5 million on Facebook ad fees, that's obviously over a period of time. When you're creating an ad, what sort of, are you expecting a lifespan of sort of days or weeks or months or could it be years?
I mean, everyone is chasing what we like to call evergreen ads, which are the ads that you can basically keep on all the time, and they carry on performing just as well as they did the first time that you turn them on. That's what kind of everyone is chasing, because that's the dream scenario. You don't have more production costs to keep on making ads. You can truly just like, you just let it roll, basically. That's kind of what everyone is aiming for, and that's one of the things that we aim to make at Fraggell. But yeah, I mean, longevity for, if it's an ad which isn't performing very well, could be 2 days. An ad which is performing really well could be a year, right? It really does depend on how good that ad is, basically.
And I guess that's one of the advantages of the lower costs and things like TV ads, that you can afford to get some of them wrong, so long as you get 100%. Some of them very, very right.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the bonus over performance marketing compared to traditional marketing, is if something goes wrong in traditional marketing, you don't really have a way to find out why it went wrong, other than it goes horribly wrong and you're all over the press, which nobody wants anyway, right? But like, in terms of like, measurable results, I can see exactly when a user switched off and went to another video. That's really helpful for me, because I can then look back on that and go, okay, well, what happened in that video at 30 seconds where people turned off? Oh, okay, they showed XYZ, right? Or they did XYZ, they said this, whatever. If I see a common theme across all the videos, then I know next time, don't bother putting that in there, because people don't connect with it. So you really can get to know your customer, and you really can start to delve into what makes them tick, more than you could do on any other platform. You're not going to get that on a billboard. You're not going to get that on the TV commercial. I can really see granular details of what is selling my product.
And that's actually really interesting, that you can get down to how far along the video did someone watch before they potentially made the purchase, or worst case, switched off. But that's getting very, very granular. How do you actually measure that? And on behalf of your clients, do you do the measurement for them, or do they do the measurement? How do you actually, there's a lot of data that's going to come from I switched off after 30 seconds, you switched off after 32 seconds. Is that relevant?
Yeah, I mean, thankfully a lot of these platforms do the measuring for us, so they'll just give us the statistics back. Like averages normally is how it works. So yeah, we measure them for our clients, but obviously, because they're running the media, they often have a team which is doing this as well for them. But we use a tool called Motion, which is essentially just a way for us to connect to our clients' ad accounts, and then that can visually show us with graphs and with great, like very creative, heavy feedback, the information that we need to know and our creative team needs to know, so that, I can go on and I can say, okay, this is, one of the main metrics that we look at is hook rate. So how well is this hooking someone in out of the 5 million people that have seen it, what percentage of people have stopped and watched the first 2 seconds of a video, right? That's a major thing because we're all fighting for attention. So if your hook rate's really poor, then we know we need to implement something better in the first few seconds of the video to get better. So it just all works on averages a lot of the time, and thankfully most of these platforms do the heavy lifting for us.
I'm quite interested because talking about measuring ads, etc. What sort of advice would you give a business that wanted to create their own performance marketing ads, maybe with in-house creators? So they've got people willing to be the actor or the actress.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I mean, there's a current kind of trend of EGC, which is employee generated content. So that is quite literally using your employees in order to make your ads, basically. So, and the reason these work is because everyone's an employee. Everyone can can relate to those people, and often they're truly are the people which are most passionate about the product because they deal with it every single day. So the first thing that I'd say is, whether it's, the easiest ad of them all is like a founder ad, which is get your founder on camera to tell the story about the product, why they made it, really pitch it Dragon's Den style of, this is the problem that I wanted to solve, and this is how I solved it. That's the easiest way to make a performance ad, because you can get that up and then you can start to, look on the watch graph, see where people are really interested, see whether that converts. But then the next step is that EGC that I mentioned, which is, get your employees, like film them packing orders, film them, whatever, like just make something which would make people buy a product, right? And then just get it up. If you're limited to resources and you only want to do what you already have, that's definitely the best place to start.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense, because definitely the founder is going to be mega enthusiastic about their own business.
Exactly.
And the employees, hopefully they're invested, because why would they work there otherwise?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So, tell us a little bit more about Fraggell and how you work with brands. So someone comes to you and says, we want to run some performance marketing ads.
Yeah.
How do you work with them? What was the first steps that you do, and what could a brand expect from working with Fraser and Fraggell?
Yeah, so the first thing that we do is our creative team would start to research the brand and to research the customer. We want to find as much as we possibly can as to why people buy the product. So reading reviews, reading what people are saying online, reading comments, looking into the problem that this product solves, all that kind of stuff. We really want to find out what makes the customer tick and why they click on the ad in the first place. That's the first thing we do, because then that helps guide us into everything else, because then it's about coming up with the concepts. This is what we're going to do for concept one. This is going to be our main video. It's going to be, we're going to display X problem, and then we're going to present your product as a solution. So we're starting to build out these videos, and then we go and create them, right? So we have the ability to do any type of creative production. So whether it's like static ads with our graphic design team, or whether it's high production videos that we film in our studio, whatever's required, we can do that. So our creatives really can be creative because they don't have any barriers in terms of what needs to be created. And then so we go from the concept, the writing it, the creating it, the strategy side, all the way to the production side, and then our edit team take away that, and then they put it all together, and then the brands put that online. We'll measure the results, and then the data that we find back on there, the nuances, what we think we can change, then is reflected in the following month's worth of creative.
Fantastic. Well, Fraser, it's been absolutely fascinating to talk. And final thoughts for anyone that's looking at their performance marketing ads. Quick insight, what is the one most important thing for them to consider?
Yeah, I think it's very important to go in with an open mind, that even though an ad might not be a winner and it might not be making a ton of money, you're still getting data back from that you can use further down the line. That's so important. Don't just think of everything as a loss. Your losses are just as important as the wins that you find, and you just need to keep at it. Really make sure that you have all different types of creative which are running, so that you can really see what your customer wants. And also believe your customer over yourself. You're always biased. You always think that everything that you make is amazing. Your customer doesn't, and they're the harshest critic, and they're the ones that are buying your product. So you need to be listening to them over yourself.
Fraser, thank you so much for your time.
No worries, Chris. Thank you.